Hey, everybody. Good afternoon and welcome to Trail Talk. I'm coming to you live from our classroom studio here at the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center. And I'm Edie, and I have a very special guest here today. His name is Brent Hajek. Now, if you saw his name spelled out, you might not think that's how you pronounce it. Hajek is the correct spelling, but you pronounce it Hike. Is that right, Brent?
Close enough, you bet.
Okay,
and a lot of other things.
Okay. I mentioned yesterday that Brent was going to be on with us today because we were talking about Oklahoma inventors and inventions yesterday. And the way I even came across Brent's name is when I was studying agriculture in Oklahoma, and I was reading up about soybeans, and an article came up that talked about Brent and being a soybean farmer and an inventor. And so that got my wheels turning. And I reached out to him, and so I'm very excited to get to chat with him today and let him tell us about some of the things that he's involved in. So Brent, how long have you been farming soybeans?
Oh, well, we've raised mung beans prior to soybeans. I've been raising soybeans probably about 15 years.
Okay.
We'd raised mung beans prior to that. That's what they use in the bean sprouts.
Okay, right. Yes, I've heard about those before. I didn't realize those grew in Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was gosh, we probably close to 40 years.
Really?
Soybeans and everything, and they're just a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah. So do you have a really big farm? Has this been like passed down through in your family? Kind of give me the history of your farming.
Yeah, I'm third generation farmer. You know, I'm farming some of the land my granddad farmed, and doing the best we can with it. No, it's there's always some interesting years and trying times for sure, when you're farming.
Oh, right. Yeah, I grew up on a farm in Caddo County, so I know what you're talking about. For
exactly.
Sure. You're always at the mercy of the weather.
Something.
Yeah, it's always something. Or the
something.
It could be the market. You never know.
Yeah. We were cutting beans good last night, 8 or 9 o'clock, and got all the trucks filled up and got out here this morning, and we got about daylight, and we got about 1/10 of an inch of rain, and we can't go now. A tenth just put everything to a halt.
Oh, right. So you are out at your soybean field right now.
Yes, I sure am. You can see
out there where the action is. Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're out here.
Yeah, so
where the wind towers and stuff are. And
right, viewers, that might be the reason his voice kind of cuts in and out just a little bit. So just bear with us. We're out where the action.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
So, what is there a special implement that you have to use to harvest the soybeans?
We just put a different header on the combine, a flex header, and it runs right on the ground. The bean pods are just a couple inches above the ground on soybeans, so you gotta run it right on the dirt. Right.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. The wheat combine is the only combine I'm familiar with, and the heads are 2 feet off the ground.
Oh yeah. That's a lot different than trying to cut soybeans for sure.
Absolutely. So, and like, what's the season like on soybeans? When do you plant? When do you harvest?
Oh, you need about this year. I planted the end of April, and harvesting now. A lot of years we'll go ahead and double crop it behind wheat and try to get the beans in first week in June, and then we're usually end of November on that harvest. But we opted for the earlier one this year. We
Okay.
haven't had the jury's still out as whether it was good or bad decision, but that's the way we roll with it.
Right, that's the way it goes. So how many acres of soybeans? You might have said, but I don't know if I heard that.
I've only got about 250 acres that I got to cut. I didn't put in. All I did was irrigated beans this year. It'd been so dry, the past years, and the year that I didn't plant any dry beans, we got a lot of rain. So that's just the way it goes.
I noticed the irrigation equipment out
Right.
in the field, so I was kind of curious about that. So
Yes,
are there different types of soybeans then?
Oh, they're basically just one type, basic soybean, but they've got different ones, the different maturity dates and stuff. You'll have some of them that mature a lot quicker than others. And we'd worked with Monsanto on some Roundup resistant, or the weeds and stuff we're getting, a Roundup resistant weeds, and they've been experimenting, and they've sent us some different type of beans that they've been experimenting with, and to try to combat these different weeds. The weeds adapt to it to where the chemical doesn't get them, and these guys, they really stay on top of it.
Right. I hadn't even thought about how great it would be to have a resistant crop. And then you could spray those weeds and wouldn't have to worry about the crops being affected by it.
Yeah, it's it's not foolproof by any means, but it's a heck of a lot better, than it was, 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
When you had to do it all mechanically. So yeah, it's really evolved.
Well, okay. So speaking of evolving, this is kind of leading me into talking to you about how did you become interested in well, I guess, have you always had an interest in racing, race cars, that sort of thing?
Yes, I've all my life, we've been into racing and collecting cars. And gosh, it's been about 16, 18 years ago. I bought a land speed record Mustang that Mickey Thompson had set some land speed records with at the Bonneville Salt Flats. And anyway, what they'd used those particular Mustangs to introduce the new body style Mach 1 Mustang that's coming out, in 1969. Well, years later, Ford decided they'd reintroduced their new generation Mustang body style, and we'd approached Ford about going back to Bonneville, doing a 40th anniversary of what they had done, in 68 when they took 69 cars out there. So, but we had to come up with something a little bit more than that. So I was raising corn as well, but what we decided to do was to do this on ethanol based corn.
Okay.
E85.
Right.
And it was that kind of knocked Ford, knocked them off center. They said, okay, well, we're, and anyway, we went out there, and that the first year we went over 252 miles an hour and broke that particular lane speed record. And since they really didn't have a class for it, there's either gasoline or fuel, which is nitromethane or anything else.
Right.
So we had to use E85 corn ethanol to we were competing against cars that were running on nitromethane, which is a way more powerful fuel. Right. And anyway, we're very happy, with the results. We were out there able to go out and do that, to compete with and beat the nitromethane powered cars, with corn-based Oklahoma ethanol.
Right.
And that worked out really well. And then the next year, we done it 3 years in a row. The next year we took it a little bit further. Um, we worked with BASF and Ford Motor Company on these new body panels. I'd seen an ad in Farm Journal magazine advertising, that the combine panels on the combines were made out of soy composite, and the Ford was developing it. And I called my guys up there at Ford Racing, and they put me in touch with the Debbie Molesky and the people in charge with Ford Biochemistry, and we got talking about that. I said, man, you're kind of preaching the choir when you talk about making combines out of this stuff. Nobody really knows what a combine is, in the real world. I said, let's try to do this with a Mustang. A lot of people know what a Mustang is. Yeah. So we'd got with Ford Bioplastics and built these fiberglass or soy-based body panels. The hood, the front fascia, the fenders, all that stuff on the second gen car that we took out there the next year was all made out of soy. We'd worked with BASF. They made us up a soy-based paint. We're trying to get as green and sustainable as we possibly could,
right?
Yet not sacrifice any horsepower, and it didn't. And that worked really well with Ford, and being a historian of Ford, the reason Henry Ford built everything in Dearborn, Michigan, is he was a huge fan of the soybean. He bought all that farmland around Detroit and the Dearborn area he basically raised soybeans, and he moved George Washington Carver in there, and they did a lot of development stuff, and it was very interesting. We spoke with Edsel Ford about it, and a lot of the upper management with Ford, they remembered, Henry's passion for it, and it wasn't lost on upper management today. And it was just back in World War II, Ford had made during World War II, they made a car out of soybeans during there was no steel or nothing, the shortage, due to the war. And they developed it, and they got one prototype built, but by the time they got it all worked out, the war was over and it wasn't feasible. But being a historian, remembered points like that, and used that, in our sales pitch basically to Ford, and then anyway, we went on to there's a few other things, all of the foam and the padding, on our the roll cages and stuff, the car was all made out of soy. And anyway, from that day forward, from 2010 on, all the Ford Mustangs are made, all the foam in them is made out of soybeans.
Really?
And that was all developed right here. Yeah.
Wow.
We'd work
here, as in at your.
Well, we come up with the idea and the concept. We were working with these these engineers. They're very, very good at what they do.
Right.
But it took somebody out here in the sticks that was racing, to come up with practical uses for this stuff.
Right.
They could build most anything, engineer it. And anyway, we got the engineers with Ford Motor Company together, along with the engineers of Monsanto, on some of these projects, and BASF. I mean, we had some really, really big names, involved in this program, and it was really an interesting time, and the thing was just really fast. We ultimately went 272 miles an hour in a Mustang. But we also found where the limits were aerodynamic wise. We had the cars in a wind tunnel testing them.
Oh.
And we had one get airborne at 272 miles an hour. And it says several more records. The world's fastest Mustang, the farthest distance flown in a Mustang. He was airborne over 1,100 feet. So that, that was
in a wind tunnel.
Yeah, that was at the Bonneville Salt Flats. Danny Thompson was the driver. Yeah, that was
out there.
Yeah, there was, he went off course, and you could tell they measured it off where the car had left the course and where it landed, and it was airborne over 1,100 feet.
Oh,
it had flown that far. So,
wow.
It was.
Did you get to see all this firsthand? Were you there for these?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
gosh, yeah, we were right there in the push vehicle behind him. We pushed him off the starting line, and they were reading off. We have the radio, on the radio, listing records, and he was still accelerating. And they said congratulations, come back to impound, for tear down and tech.
Right.
And Danny kept going, and then they come over the radio.
Okay, is it us? Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So it seems like Brent's phone might have, he's frozen. So I'm going to stay here.
Okay. Sorry, I lost you there for a minute.
Yeah, that's okay. Looks like
I was getting another call. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No, that was quite a harrowing moment. He's probably 7 miles from us, and that van it only run about 100 miles an hour. We were trying to get to him, and we got to him, and there the car was, dirty side down, if you will, and he was crawling out of it, and it was tore all to pieces. But what was really crazy about that thing is we actually reused the hood off of it, the fiberglass or the soy composite.
Okay, we got his video back, and we lost his audio again.
Body paint were reusable. Okay, you still there? I'm sorry, I keep getting calls here. I wish I'd turn this thing off.
Okay, yeah.
But anyway, are we back on again?
Your video is off right now, Brent.
Oh.
Yeah, we can hear you, but I can't see you. When your video came back a minute ago, then that was when we lost your audio again. Are you there?
Okay.
Okay.
Hold on. The video. Okay, I'm sorry. We got our hands are calling. Want to know if we can get back in the field and start cutting.
Oh, I'm sure that's.
Anyway, no, that was a really, really cool time.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, I don't know of any car that had more sustainable features on it.
Right.
In fact, Jim Farley, he's now the CEO of Ford Motor Company. He flew to Oklahoma. We met in Tulsa to talk about, the actual production Mustangs using these soy composite fenders and stuff.
Right.
That had been brought up, and as it worked out, it wasn't feasible. The production costs were just so much cheaper using the steel ones that we didn't go there. But
I was
interesting if
wondering,
they did.
Right. I was wondering if they had been able to implement that as something that they do now. But do they all the foam though that they use in the Mustangs is made of soybean now?
That is correct. Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right. Now, viewers, I just want you to know, as long as we can hear Brent, we're going with this.
Okay. I'm out in the middle of the field. It's kind of a mess out here.
Yeah. But that's the life of the farmer. And so, but, you're not an ordinary farmer, Brent. I just have a feeling that your brain must be always turning on something different.
Well, not necessarily good, but different is a good choice of words. But no, my main business is oil and gas production, and I have a trucking company and other things. Farming's I wish there was more money in it. I could just do that and make a living, but you just about got to have another job, unfortunately.
So is your name, are you included on it? Are some of these soy products patented?
No, well, I did. I've got one on the. We'll get to that. We took this thing a step further, and after making the fiberglass body panels, and actually some valve covers and intake manifolds and actual engine components out of the soy.
Right.
But we were trying to get more mainstream, and that's when we come up with the baseball batting helmets.
Okay, I was going to ask you about those. I read about that, but I didn't see if that was like made it all the way through or not.
Well, I tell you, the problem with a safety feature or safety thing like that and children is the safety stuff. Okay, getting the testing. The big thing that they went through with the football helmets and all that.
Right. Yeah.
The concussions and stuff, and that's kind of where we are, with the batting helmets. But no, they thought it was pretty cool, of a farmer out in the middle of nowhere coming up with an idea like that.
Right.
But we made some. It's different anyway. But
yeah,
we made some out of carbon fiber, Kevlar, and fiberglass. The more exotic, like the Kevlar carbon fiber helmets would be more like Major League, and the fiberglass type of helmet be more like Little League.
right.
But that's something that we're working with. And we're working with Minnesota Soy up there. Got some connections with 3M about doing go ahead and get the foam inserts, soy foam inserts for these helmets.
Right.
But that's where everything gets kind of sticky, on the safety issue. So we're trying to work through that. But I think the thing, be a pretty cool, pretty cool idea. And from a human interest standpoint, some farmer out in the middle of nowhere comes up with the idea. You look at the people that are actually purchasing this stuff. They're going to look up there and see that that it's green, and they're going to buy it.
Right. I love it that you're able to.
I don't know, from a marketing standpoint, I think we're spot on.
Yeah, I love that you're
that's kind of
green with an existing. They're already making these baseball helmets, but you're able to come at it from a different angle.
Right.
And give people all kinds of new ideas.
Right. That's kind of where we were at with this deal. But no, we were, what we're going to do, and they changed marketing teams on the Mustang, and I'm in there, and I walk in there, and I didn't know any of them. It's a bunch of young gals, and man, they were sharp. I mean, they're good, but I put my sales pitch out there, and here's what we're going to do, and we've been doing it for years with Ford, and they looked at me and said, Brent, Mustang brand is changing its target. We're looking at women 18 to 24, and you're not it. And I said, oh my God, they're right. I mean, I get it. But what it did is I got on the plane, I was flying home, and I got thinking. I said, wait a minute, I'm an old guy. Let's, how about we do something with with a Super Duty truck.
Right.
I knew that, Ford was at that particular time was doing an engine switch. They had a lot of trouble with the 6.0 and the 6.4, and they had a new engine in development, the 6.7.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, man, I knew my buddies, in engineering were building this new engine. So I went back to the marketing guys was with Ford truck, said, hey, why don't we take one of these things to Bonneville?
Mm-hmm.
These new trucks. They got us a pre-production prototype truck, and we did a bunch of testing and put it on biodiesel,
Right.
and we ended up at their lab, their engineering lab in Dearborn. In fact, the engineers of Ford Motor Company did all the tuning and pretty much set the engine up, built the drivetrain. We had to set up the chassis and the safety equipment stuff on it,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. But it was really cool. We actually had that thing in the wind tunnel. It's kind of a funny story. We were in there doing wind tunnel tests on this crew cab F-250, and the wind, we got it up about 180 mile an hour, and the moonroof started to pop out of it. I'll never forget. I called the Super Duty brand manager and said, "Hey, we got a problem with these new Super Duties." He said, "Oh man, what's going on, Brent?" And he said, "Well, the moonroof blows out at 180 mile an hour." Okay, whatever. No,
Yeah.
well, just silly things
Right.
like that. But that truck, we had a really cool side effect with that thing is our sponsors, Monsanto through Asgrow brand soybeans and Roundup, they had to start taking these things to the farm shows. And, you got 180 mile an hour pickup at a farm show, you're going to draw people into their booth. I mean, it was really cool. And then, we got with the Oklahoma soybean growers, and they said, hey, this is kind of cool. We started doing some local farm shows, and it brought a lot of interest to it. They have what they call the soy checkoff. There's a checkoff fund, like the beef checkoff fund or pork or whatever.
Right.
Where so much they have so much money, soy or beef or whatever. But anyway, we got to working with them. Gosh, we went to, oh my gosh, well, Mankato, Minnesota, up into South Dakota, Kansas, Illinois, Indiana. I mean, they had us all over. We were Commodity Classic. It's a big show. It was in Orlando, Florida that particular year.
Wow.
But that we traveled all over the country with that thing. Had it in the SEMA show. It's a great big show in Las Vegas, especially Equipment Manufacturers Association show.
Uh-huh.
And it's just it was just amazing, how much interest that thing and had drawn. It still does. I still get a lot of calls on that thing. It's just so weird. That
What kind of fuel did you use?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, we went out there. Here was our exercise.
Okay.
We went out there and set the B diesel truck record with standard number 2 truck diesel. Okay, when you go out to Bonneville in this class, they you have to they tested it, or they put the fuel in, seal the tank, and we broke the record, and then we come back and run the backup. We had to back it up.
Wow.
When you break a record out there, you have so many hours to go back and and back up that record. But it's kind of tricky because it's got to happen in the same mile that you set it in a record course. You break the record in mile number 3. When you go back and do your backup run,
Uh-huh.
you have to do it in that same mile, and it's rather tricky. But anyway, we went 169 miles an hour regular diesel out, I put biodiesel in it, and
Uh-huh.
went 182 miles an
Wow.
hour. And
So
that raised some
what is in
eyebrows.
biodiesel fuel? What is in there?
Okay, it's 20%. It's 20% soybean oil
Uh-huh.
mixed blended with regular diesel.
Okay.
But 20% of it
The soybean
is
oil,
soy.
a soy base.
So you can always tell when everyone's running it. Somebody's running it. It just it smells kind of like French fries or something. Yeah, any
Okay.
type of biodiesel
Right.
has a lot different smell to it.
Yeah.
But there was nothing out there like it. They could have drove it out there. In fact, we done that before we went to Bonneville. I hooked a fertilizer tank to this land speed truck full of decals and stuff on the cage and drove it down. I was moving fertilizer tanks with it to haul them out the soybean field.
Uh-huh.
Because the timing, just the way it timed out. And I thought, boy, this is going to be kind of stupid if we don't break a record, but it'd be way cool, that we use this same truck to haul soybean or salt fertilizer to our soybeans, and Ford used it in some of their marketing. It was pretty cool. We're just so far out here in the sticks, we can get outside the box, and it's just a different kind of thinking, and
Right.
corporate America, I don't know, ready or not, here we are, it's one of them kind of deals, but it's worked well for us. We tell them we're going to do something, we generally do it. And, we got a good bunch of people behind us,
Right.
and try to run out there, Bonneville, that's no easy thing. You think of Bonneville salt flats, you think, well, it's down there and, in some kind of a swamp or lowland, but it's really not. I mean, the static altitude there's like 5,000 foot, 4,500 to 5,000 foot. And then, in their density, you'll have as high as 8,000. And it's, that'll take about, 25-30% of your horsepower away. And actually racing on that surface, the best way I can describe it to you is like if you're driving on sleet. It's that slick.
Oh.
You could be going 100 and 200. Well, gosh, Danny and that Mustang was going over 270 mile an hour, and the thing started spinning and got away from him.
Yeah.
Or I guess another way to describe it is, say you got a snow plow in front of your truck, and you're trying to push snow. And there's a point in time, it doesn't matter how much horsepower you got, all you're going to do is spin. Well, instead of pushing snow, you're pushing wind, you're pushing air. And you don't think about that, but we were working, we were working with Ford's aerodynamicist, thermal dynamicist, on our intercooling. We pretty much developed how we set the intercooling system up, utilizing ice water instead of engine coolant, for our intercoolers. But the amazing people that we, the chemists that we got to work with, I mean, it was crazy. We had another program. One of my buddies got transferred from Super Duty over to C-Max, which was a hybrid.
Uh-huh.
They didn't build it very long, but he called me and said, Brent, I need you to come up with something crazy to do with this hybrid car.
Yeah.
I said, what do you got? He said, well, it's a little gas burner, and but it's got electric motors in it too. It runs on both fuels. And I called him back a couple weeks later, and I said, well, we can go out to we can rent Cape Kennedy and run. We can run out there at that course. We can set the record on use 85 on the fuel end of it, and then wind generated electricity on the backup. They said, damn it, you done it again. But that program went away with them wanting to promote C-Max. That car kind of went away, but it led me to deal with he was a nuclear physicist out of Pennsylvania, Dr. Sandcar, he got talking about all these crazy magnets that they're using in these electric motors, and they use these rare earth metals
Right.
to make these just really crazy magnets. I know it's funny that we're talking about that, but that's the direction some of this stuff will lead us. I'm sitting here, I don't know nothing about a magnet other than to pick up, but ferrous material, that's it,
Right.
and then we're talking about this stuff, and they haven't even touched the surface on what they can do with these electric motors, at that point. But our buddies over at Ford Motor Company had built this Mustang,
Mm-hmm.
electric, they call it electric Cobra jet,
Right.
and the thing's making like 1,700 horsepower electric motor. I mean, it'll outrun any of our supercharged cars in the quarter mile of things. It's just crazy,
Wow.
and they got to using some of that technology, and I mean, it's out there. It's way out there. But,
Yeah. So Brent,
I thought,
good question.
we were in the process, we're sitting in the middle of all these wind turbines, and I got talking to those guys doing something. I don't know. We were kicking around the idea about taking one of the new. Yeah.
So how would a person,
Lost you there.
oh, that's okay. How would a person who has an idea that sounds kind of crazy like your
Bear
idea?
with me now.
I can't tell if you can hear me or not. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Are you there? Another glitch in the soybean field. Yeah.
Okay, I'm only getting about every third word, but I think how do you get it to somebody where you can make it happen?
Well,
I can hear you great now.
Okay, good. I was just thinking about someone.
Then it went away. Okay, I think what you asked was there you go. How do you go about a lot of luck? In my case, we had taking our old vintage cars. Oh yeah, trying to implement that, man. I tell you what, it's just it takes a lot of luck, actually. More luck than anything.
More luck than anything.
Sometimes everything lines up for you, and we were very, very fortunate, in that aspect. But I don't any advice to somebody trying to do something like that. Is with we got a great tool,
We're hanging in there.
with the internet and Facebook and all that stuff, and just get it out there, kind of show what you're doing, and somebody will see it.
Yeah.
If it's cool, somebody will want to do it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of stuff that that we.
Well, hey, listen, Brent, the connection seems to be getting a little bit worse. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. I hope that we can have you on again sometime. Maybe we can be in the museum and see some of your cars. So
There you go. There you go.
can you hear me? I feel
I
like there's,
don't know why it's so crazy out here.
yeah, it's okay. Let's sign off and say goodbye. We'll say happy trails.
Okay. How we do it?
Are you there? I'm going to say happy trails. And I will see you next time. Thanks a million, Brent. Bye-bye.
Try to move to a better spot here. I don't know, maybe.
We'll do that next time.
Perfect.
Okay. Happy
Okay.
trails.